Hi, this is John Byrne with Poets&Quants. Welcome to another edition of Friday with Sandy. Sandy Kreisberg, HBS guru, of course, in Boston. We have a great candidate today, and the big question we will answer is, can you get into Harvard Business School with a 3.2 GPA? Sandy?
Andrew has a 3.2 BS, Bachelor of Science, but then he's got a 3.74 MS. So that's kind of an alternative transcript. And then he's in a very exciting part of the world here called, startup medical device company. He worked at one called Fresca Medical, which is a startup for 6 years. And he's 29 years old and he's Hispanic. So if you want to make Harvard overlook a 3.2, yeah, you get an alternative transcript, get a 730 GMAT, which in his case is evenly split with 80% above on both sides, and then work for an exciting company. And he started as a contract engineer, then he became an engineer, then he became an R&D project engineer, and then a senior mechanical engineer, and then he switched companies. What are you doing now, Andrew?
So I'm working on critical care ventilators at Philips Respironics. Philips being a huge company and Respironics being their arm in respiratory medicine.
Wow, what an exciting job to have at this time. I mean, really.
Ventilators, hey, hang up and go create those ventilators.
Wow.
Yeah, they just got several very, very large orders from across Europe and in China.
Yeah, so could you tell, you got interviewed at HBS, you applied round 2. Could you tell us what the interview was like? It was a Skype interview.
It was a Skype interview. There were 2 people, and I thought it was a very casual interview. I thought all the questions were very straightforward and easy. It was just, if it's talking about myself, I can talk about myself. So that's pretty much what it was. Explain the decisions.
What were some of the questions they asked? There were 2 people on a Skype interview?
Yes, one taking notes and one asking the questions.
Yeah, let me say this, did the Skype thing disappear, or was it an interference, or what?
No, it works flawlessly.
Yeah, so no problem with a Skype interview.
No problems.
Didn't bug you, and it didn't bug them. Yeah, that's been my experience. The truth comes out in the wash, even the Skype wash.
So any challenging questions?
Yeah, what were some of the questions?
I didn't actually find like there's any oddball questions or anything particularly challenging, except on the bottom of my resume, you'll see that I have kind of a personal study in philosophy and Kierkegaard and Thomas Aquinas. So in the interview, they asked me how I got interested in that. And I said one of my professors, and I said that he studied under Heidegger. And then they asked me, why is Heidegger important? And then I told them existentialism and phenomenology. And then they asked me to define existentialism and phenomenology. So that's probably as hard as it got, in that making concise answers to that is, I wasn't expecting it, but.
Yeah, that's
really interesting, because you see how they darted down almost a detour or a street on one little item in your resume.
Yeah, that's a very important. You could have torpedoed yourself if you put something on your resume like an interest, and it's like an author or a philosopher or a public figure. You should be prepared to talk about that, and if you can't, it's very damaging, as it should be. Because then they go, well, this guy's just a baloney artist. Real important.
Now, Andrew,
no joke.
Before our call, you were explaining the role that you had in the medical startup, and I think you should explain that to everyone, because I think it really tells a story about why you were going to get into Harvard with 3.2.
Certainly. So I decided to join a startup to get the full gamut of experience, and that I did. So I started right at the start, coming out of incubation, proof of concept, developing that concept
Tell
into
us
a real
about the
product.
company. This is Fresca Medical Devices, and they make one product, as I take it?
Yes.
Sleep apnea device.
So they're trying to do a disruptive technology into sleep apnea, and
Yeah, good.
and it's a huge market, and just taking a small sliver of that market is more than enough, and it's dominated by two companies that really haven't been terribly innovative over the past 40 years in the market.
But what I like is how you started right on a lab bench and went right to seeking a manufacturer of the device in China. So from very start to finish, which is a very rare experience for even a senior person, never mind a young person like you.
So I'm actually in now I'm in the finish of it. So right now I'm in sustaining at Philips Respironics. So I've taken it from development, R&D to design transfer. So making it manufactured, and then the next part of that life cycle being, once you have something on the market, fixing everything that goes wrong, that, you know, people stop producing things, there's supply chain disruption. So I joined in the completion of that life cycle.
You were interviewed at HBS before you took the new job?
No, it'd be afterwards. So I actually got to surprise them with that as well. I don't know if that was a good thing or a bad thing, but
Well, it's a thing. Did you submit it like an updated resume?
I did not submit an updated resume.
Well, they still like you, but for people out there who, I mean, that's something worth doing. It's not going to damage you a lot, but it makes life easier for everybody, because then you could describe the new company on the resume and talk about the new company, yada, yada, yada.
And Andrew,
Well, having only been there for 3 weeks, putting a lot of impactful line items on the resume, I thought was too difficult of a challenge.
That's one way. Sure. Okay.
Andrew, your post MBA goal is what?
So the short-term goal is to transition from technical engineering into managerial engineering, so becoming a project manager. And I'd like to start, you know, say 5 years at kind of a larger institution, just to get a foundation in that. And then hopefully I like the idea of transitioning back to small company at kind of an executive level of, you know, depending on how large the small company is.
Then you want to stay in med tech, right?
I would.
Okay.
Where else did you apply, if you don't mind me asking?
I only applied to Harvard, Oxford, and Cambridge.
And can you share anything about the Oxford and Cambridge application?
Certainly, the Oxford is by far the hardest of them. And one of the hardest things that came up was the interview question of describe the color yellow, which
Wow.
was
like a University of Chicago question.
that threw me off a bit, and I was terribly frustrated with that as a question. I was just a little bit frazzled. They let me in, so apparently I didn't answer it too poorly. But all I could think about at the time was it was.
What are they looking for, John?
They're looking for deep thinkers. So I'm sure they went right down to that final line in your resume. And that really made a difference for them. I think that's a dumb question on an MBA application. Let me just put that out there. Okay? Really dumb.
I think what they're looking for is just how you handle curveballs.
Yeah.
Basically.
Yeah.
Wow. That is something. Well, if you're applying to Chicago, take note.
Yep.
Okay. I think you're a solid guy. You got a lot going for you, and you are the man. You are how one can get into HBS with a 3.2 bachelor BS or 3.2 GPA. Just another question. How come that was your GPA?
Well, I probably overloaded myself in the final years taking extra classes. That if you start taking a couple extra upper division philosophy classes, just time management, it probably wasn't a good decision for my GPA, and it was just kind of a extension of my personal interest.
Did it come up?
Also, it's a difficult major. It's not a layup. It's not geography or history or English.
No, I definitely, if I took extra courses to boost my GPA, I would have taken something far, far easier.
Like statistics or accounting, yeah. Did the
Those would be
GPA,
very easy.
did the GPA come up in the interviews?
No.
Well, they swallowed it. Okay.
I think it's because of the major and the masters.
Oh yeah, the masters, sure.
And after all,
Sometimes they're just
he's right on the
sometimes they're
Harvard
just
median with his 730 as well.
yeah. No, they've swallowed it as his ability to do the work at business school. I thought it's just an interesting question for an interviewer to see how well this guy can explain things that happened in his life, which is something else they're probing for.
And I'm just going to tell you, I mean, if Harvard turns you down, Andrew, they will have made an incredible mistake. You are one of the best presenters of yourself we have ever seen. Correct?
That's
There you
quite a
go.
compliment.
Not only
Right now.
that, but
In fact,
Not
you
only
get
that,
turned
but-
down, I'm going to call up Chad Losey and
all right.
tell him, give him hell.
I'll keep you to that.
You're also just a valuable asset based on your experience. You have got the A to Z medical startup experience, and that, and by implication, the startup experience. So that is just incredibly valuable to have as a class participant for a lot of cases. You can
And add
tell
to that, he's currently in the middle of the greatest crisis our generation has faced. Right?
I am.
Yeah.
The production hasn't quite doubled, but that's more just a supply chain and logistics problem. It would double if we could get it there.
Oh,
Yeah.
the respirator supply. Yeah. That's
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you have a lot to offer. So, good luck. I think you got interviewed. What are the odds about getting into Harvard post-interview?
Well, Chad says they're roughly 50-50. We think they're 60-40, don't we?
Yes, we do.
Okay.
60-40, which way?
Your way.
Ah, excellent. That's what I like
Here's
to
the
hear.
deal. If you don't get in, I'm going to send this video to Stanford.
All right. I'd
But
love
Stanford
to
will
apply.
take you around 3.
John's impressed. Okay. Good talking to you. And
Hey, Andrew, good luck, really. And we're really impressed.
Could I
you've done a great job.
could I ask one final question?
Of course.
So on my resume, the thing that I'm probably proudest of and biggest accomplishment is probably the patents. So getting 3, I think, are probably the biggest thing on there, and also the biggest accomplishment I have. And I was just kind of, I was
Wow.
wondering how that played into things.
That's impressive. I noticed that right away. You listed it there, and that is also impressive. Going through the process, the fact you could do it is an accomplishment, and the fact that you've got that under your belt makes you a very valuable class participant, where patents come up in cases all the time, and you know what it's like to get a patent and what the value is and how you have to protect it and what the asset is to a company, et cetera, et cetera. Just another plus on both.
There's
counts.
actually one other thing that I think might be helpful for other people. Just throw out there that for the kind of the extras tab for the Harvard application, where it's describe accomplishments, in that tab I put in papers. So those published papers in conferences. I don't think that's a typical thing to do, but
no, that's good too. People usually put published papers on their resume and as accomplishments.
I was unaware.
Be prepared to. Well, you did good. Be prepared to talk about it. Same thing as Kierkegaard and Aquinas.
There we go. Well, Andrew, good luck to you. You better get in. That's all I got to say.
Thank you.
All right. This is John Byrne and Poets&Quants. We're in lockdown in California. I don't know what it's like in Boston. Andrew, I don't know exactly where you are. Hopefully you are sheltering at home as well. Stay safe, everybody. This is John Byrne with Poets&Quants. Sandy Kreisberg, HBS Guru.